So the first video of 2024, and we start building up to the Six Nations. Not that long away, definitely not long till squads are out. What I like to do every year is have a look at the odds, not because I'm a betting man or I suggest you guys should bet, not at all. I just think it's really interesting to see what are the odds, who has good odds, who do you think is a good hypothetical bet. I did this last year, so I've actually got the typical odds for this year and the ones for last year, seeing how some teams have stayed the same and some have changed a bit or a lot. So really interesting to have a look at. Let's go through it, and we can see very clearly that France and Ireland once again are strong favourites, very understandable, and you'd have to put a lot of money on to make any money on these bets. So straight away, they're bad bets. Not that I'm suggesting you should bet, but they're not good odds at all. But it does show how strong favourites these two are. France, the favourites, 5-4. Ireland just behind, 6-4. I mean, these sorts of odds kind of indicate they think the winner will come from one of these two. And yet, I think, my money, hypothetical money, would be on one of these two. And they kind of share a lot of the same kind of characteristics in many ways. They have that extra motivation, if you think that's a factor, from having not delivered when it counted in the World Cup. Being disappointed, certainly, by their goals. Maybe France carrying a tiny bit more hurt considering it was their home World Cup, but of course Ireland wanted to get to their first semi-final ever and didn't. Six Nations wise, they've both won it in the last 2 years, so maybe that factor's not there, but definitely a lot of hurt after the World Cup. Maybe, dare I say, a little bit more from France, but let me know if you think I'm wrong there. And both kind of a very similar sort of state player-wise. Most of the players, the same players from the World Cup available, but with one big exception, one big huge shirt to fill for both. For Ireland, it's of course who fills the boots of Johnny Sexton, the veteran fly half who's retired. And for France, Antoine Dupont, who is, I think, unarguably the best scrum half in the world, will not be available because he is pursuing his dream of representing France at sevens at the home Olympics in Paris. So it makes a lot of sense after a World Cup year. If he's going to do it, now's the time for a home Olympics. But a shame we won't see him in the Six Nations. It's certainly going to drum up a lot of interest in the Olympics. For this Six Nations, there's lots of talent, but certainly huge shoes to fill for Sexton or Dupont. Let me know who you think is the bigger loss. I'm probably saying Dupont because I think for Sexton, he hasn't played all the games for Ireland. There's been plenty of chances for other players to play instead of him. So I think it's going to be a bit more of a jump for France to replace Dupont. So anyway, two clear favourites. Definitely not a good bet, but it shows how strong favourites they are. Then on to England, my team, who are interestingly at longer odds this year than last year, and I actually think they're in a better position now than they were last year, so maybe that is good odds for England. Maybe if you were to put a bet on, they would be the ones to go for. Scotland, they're a little bit shorter than they were, and they've got the same team, so I don't see quite what's changed there. They didn't have the best World Cup, so I don't quite see why they're more favourites than they were last year. But anyway, 16-1 still could be a decent bet. In the World Cup, England had a pretty basic game plan, but they were very hard to beat. It was a winning game plan for a lot of it, but definitely the consensus is, and I agree, they need more attacking edge if they're going to win the Six Nations. So Steve Borthwick's going to have to prove a lot of doubters wrong and say he can actually play some exciting attacking rugby as well as being a solid team. Now, England are in a bit of transition, if you like using that word. They need to find the right young talent from the Premiership, and the previous videos I've done have been on that, which kind of talent they need to bring through, which ones are there. So if they get that talent search right and those young players come to the party, I think it's possible that England could win the Six Nations. 7-1, I think are pretty good odds because fairly long odds, and England have won the Six Nations plenty in the past. Maybe they could do it again. Are they dark horses? Let me know if you think those are good odds. Scotland 16-1. Well, history says that they don't win the Six Nations because they never have, but we know they score worldy tries. They've got box office players with the likes of Finn Russell, Duan van der Merwe still absolutely tearing it up. But can they be pragmatic enough to get that consistency to win enough games? They haven't shown it yet. Even with this very settled team, the best crop of players they've ever managed to put together. You know, it's now or never maybe for Scotland. Well motivated, but they haven't shown they can get it done so far. Then Wales come in at a very long 33-1, but they've got a great record in the Six Nations. You underestimate Wales at your peril, and I often do, and they proved me wrong. They had a very solid World Cup, but maybe those odds reflect the fact that they're missing some key players. Jack Morgan, the captain, the open side, their best player of the World Cup, he's injured for the Six Nations, which is massive. Liam Williams moved away. He's not available. It was looking like they might have to find a really new fly half as well. Biggers retired from international rugby. Gareth Anscombe in Japan. Costello was injured, but he's just come back for the Scarlets. Maybe just in time, and maybe that's enough to say, actually, 33-1 are too long odds, and actually that's a really good bet. Grab it whilst you can. And they've got some exciting youngsters who are getting good game time for their clubs. Chris Schwinzer and Daffy Jenkins from Exeter really coming into their own. Jenkins, I think, looks like a mainstay of the Welsh pack. Big Mason Grady, the centre, is getting better and better. So maybe 33-1 is a bit too long. Let me know if you're going to go for that one. And finally, Italy, 500-1, the same as last year. And that's kind of bookmaker speak for they're not going to win it, but will happily take your money. So Italy were very disappointing in the World Cup. However, they do have a solid group of individuals who are in their prime, coming through together, and they look like a better team on paper than they perform in internationals. In the URC, Benetton, their premier team, is second with 7 wins out of 9. So, you know, they're doing well in that league, containing all the Irish teams, all the South African teams. So it says like they should do better. But I think their target is at least a win, and 2 would be a really good return. Their 2 home games aren't against the big 2 of Ireland and France. They're against England and Scotland, and I'm sure they'll target those. If they get 1 and 2 wins, especially, they'd say it's a successful Six Nations, but I don't think they're going to win, so I wouldn't throw away your money there if you were to hypothetically bet. So yeah, in summary, France and Ireland, their odds are really, really short, so terrible bets, but it looks like the winner's probably going to come from those 2. And then the guys in the middle there, England, Scotland, Wales, I think are pretty decent. And Italy, don't worry about that. Anyway, let me know what you think about those odds. It's just a bit of fun. I do like looking at them. All the comments below, and get ready for more Six Nations videos to come as we ramp up to the Six Nations itself. It's going to be exciting. Please join along for the ride. Subscribe, like, that would be amazing. And I'll catch you next time.